Time for a Drunk Talk TV Music Industry News Desk Report.
Strap yourself in, void where prohibited, batteries not included, not available. State of shock.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Drum Talk TV News Desk Report coming to you live April 24th, 2026, or maybe you're watching the archive after the fact. We're your co-hosts. That's Shiley Graff right there. I'm Steven Schinder, back from a vacation. Shiley, how are things going for you?
I'm doing pretty well. I am staying on my toes, very busy as finals week approaches. But I'm excited to be here doing the news desk with you. How was your vacation, Steven?
It was a lot of fun. My brother Alex is a jeweler, does jewelry repairs and stuff, and his company allowed him and some other people to go to this place in the Bahamas called the Atlantis Resort. So there's really great food. We even got to hang out with like a dolphin. There's like a dolphin encounter session type of thing, and there's aquariums and a water park. So it was a lot of fun, nice and relaxing.
Wow, sounds like a dream vacation.
Yeah, it was great. But that brings me to the icebreaker that I thought
Now it's time for
All right, so my icebreaker question for you, Shiley, and for anyone else who may be watching and can comment their answers. What artist work, like whether it be like a solo artist or a band, like which of their works do you think could be interesting inspiration for a resort theme? It could be from one of their works, or it could even be elements of multiple of their works, if that helps.
Interesting. That's a great question. A resort theme from music. Wow, nothing is immediately coming to mind. What was your initial instinct for that?
Yeah, so I know that there's already a cruise that's named after a Yes album, Close to the Edge, and it's called Cruise to the Edge. But for a resort, I think an easy go-to for me would be like Tales from Topographic Oceans. One of those Yes albums could be like inspiration for a resort. Maybe certain things could be modeled after Roger Dean's architecture that he includes on some of those paintings that he uses for those album covers. Maybe it could even be like a whole Roger Dean themed resort. He could even have like the pyramid or the dragon from the Asia album covers, and it could be like a whole thing. Maybe it would have a theme park element to it, and just the whole building could feel like it has the curvature and like roundness that you see in certain of Roger Dean architecture designs. So that's what came to mind for me.
Oh, cool. That actually is a really great answer. I don't know if it's quite a resort in the traditional sense that we think of resorts, but I think it could be fun if there was a like Airbnb or a cabin or something in New England based around Noah Kahan and his work, particularly his album Stick Season that came out in 2022, but also The Great Divide, which actually came out today. And, kind of has that very New Englandy backwoods kind of vibe to it. So it could be kind of fun to incorporate some themes from his music into a sort of Airbnb or cabin type stay.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. Yeah, great stuff. All right, so now we get into what's been going on lately in music.
Now let's see what's been going on this week in the music industry.
All right, to kick this segment off, the hard rock new metal band Snot announced this week that their first album in 26 years. Syracuse reported that the album will feature the group's new lead singer, Andy Knapp, of Stronger Than Machines, in place of the late frontman Lynn Straight. Guitarist Mikey Doling wrote on Facebook, quote, "Restarting the musical Snot engine isn't as challenging as expected. The creativity is flowing effortlessly, like back in 1995. It's stankalicious funk, punk, and high-energy rock and roll with sprinkles of what we used to call lounge jams. Andy Knapp's impact and talent on this album has been high level. He's crushing it," unquote. Doling confirmed the album will feature bassist John Toomer Fanistock and drummer Jamie Miller, who reunited last year with Doling, and guitarist Sonny Mayo, alongside Knapp on lead vocals. Blabbermouth reported that Mayo left the lineup in April and was replaced by Doc Coyle of God Forbid and formerly of Bad Wolves. Snot disbanded but released a final studio album, Straight Up, in 2000 as a tribute to Straight with an all-star lineup of guest singers like Sugar Ray's Mark McGrath, Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst, Korn's Jonathan Davis, Slipknot's Corey Taylor, Incubus's Brandon Boyd, and System of the Down's Serge Tankian. So definitely a big lineup for that album that came out, but this is huge news 26 years later, and they're doing something else. So very exciting to hear what they come out with.
Yeah, like 26 years, that's a whole run of classic Doctor Who right there, same amount of years. So that's very exciting whenever a band makes a return like this with that type of album. David Byrne, former Talking Heads frontman, is currently embarking on his Who is the Sky tour, which has taken him all over the world since kicking off in September 2025, and he's got more tour dates up his sleeve. The New York Post reported that in his fourth extension of the tour, Byrne will headline a handful of concerts in Singapore, Thailand, Japan, South Korea, and North America come August and September. Prior to sharing his latest batch of dates, Byrne headlined both weekends at the 2026 Coachella Music and Arts Festival. This tour extension in North America begins on August 27th with a show in San Diego, California, then hitting LA and New York as well. So yeah, just a few months away. We're in April, and that's going on in late August. And yeah, very exciting stuff right there.
Yeah, definitely. And he continues to go on this tour. So we'll see if there's any other things that he's got planned. And speaking of extending tours, Bob Dylan just added new tour dates to his Rough and Rowdy Ways tour. And one of those dates marks a milestone for the singer. Ultimate Classic Rock reported that over a dozen new tour dates have been added to his 2026 schedule, with the first one taking place on July 8th in Chicago. He will also play in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Boston, and most notably New York City, playing his first show at Forest Hills Stadium in 10 years. Two guests will join him in New York on July 21st, Jimmy Vaughn and Lucinda Williams. Williams participated in Willie Nelson's 2025 Outlaw Tour alongside Bob Dylan, while Vaughn appeared at Dylan's 2024 closer in Austin, Texas, playing 4 songs with him and his band. His tour, which has been going on since November 2nd, 2021, is currently scheduled out to August 1st. So he's on tour for a long time, and he keeps going on and keeps adding more dates. So we'll see if he goes past August 1st. We'll see if this wraps up this year or if he'll continue for as long as he can.
Yeah, Bob has been very active with all this, so we'll just have to see. Chris Holmes, former member of Wasp, recently had to make some changes to his upcoming solo tour, canceling his United Kingdom and Scandinavian concerts. Parade reported that The Abyss, a live music club in Gothenburg, Sweden, announced that Holmes will no longer proceed with his scheduled performance due to health issues. They wrote in their statement, quote, "It is with a heavy heart that we have received news that Chris Holmes has canceled his appearance at The Abyss. All tickets will be refunded through Boleto," unquote. Holmes' wife, Catherine, also shared a statement saying, quote, "Out of respect for our fans and promoters, we feel compelled to explain why we are obliged to cancel our UK and Scandinavian tours scheduled for May. All shows taking place after July remain unaffected. Due to health issues that require immediate attention, we must unfortunately cancel the May tour." We will keep you updated as soon as we have more information. We would like to thank each and every one of you for understanding, and we ask that you please accept our apologies, unquote. She cleared up confusion about his condition soon after posting that announcement, saying, quote, Chris has a minor prostate issue, nothing that threatens his projects, his tours, or his fire. It's already being taken care of, and he'll be back on his feet and on stage soon. To those who support Chris with heart and respect, we send that love right back to you, unquote. So, like we said, health is really important, and I would say that musicians are not always, and anyone really, is not really obligated to disclose what their medical issues are. It's their privacy and whatnot if they choose to keep it private. But it's nice how here they're very transparent about what's going on. They felt that we should just let the fans know what's going on, and so the fans get to be in the know, and I think it's a pretty good reason to have to put this off. But it seems like Chris will, be back on his feet, as it says here, which is nice to hear.
Yeah, and it seems that fans may have wondered if it was a more serious condition and were confused by this entire cancellation of, oh, it's serious, he's really sick. And so, it's nice that his wife came out and was like, no, he's fine. Like, we're just dealing with this to try and get on top of it. So, but yeah, definitely glad he's prioritizing his health, and hopefully he can come back stronger than ever.
Right.
So, speaking of cancellations, the German hard rock band known as the Scorpions is abruptly canceling its upcoming tour. Penn Live reported that they canceled a 4-date run in India scheduled for later this month, and the tour organizers shared it was due to unspecified health reasons. In a statement, they said, quote, the Scorpions Coming Home India tour stands canceled due to unforeseen medical circumstances affecting the band members. We apologize for the inconvenience and disappointment caused to fans. The band are very keen to perform in India when possible and within their schedule, the Post continued. The band had to cancel some South American dates last May while on their 60th anniversary tour due to vocalist Klaus Meine contracting a respiratory infection. He said, quote, we're still standing, during an interview with Rolling Stone India about the planned tour. Quote, God knows how long we can do this. We're getting older every year, but when we see fans in front of the stage, we get so much energy and power back from our fans that we're still young at heart, unquote. So again, as we talked about, glad that they're taking their health seriously and going to take some time off to deal with these health reasons, whatever they may be.
Right. And, I can imagine, being a musician, getting much older, it can get tougher, but it's cool to hear that they feel more encouraged whenever they get the energy from the fans who watch them. I may have mentioned this on here before, but for anyone who doesn't know, I do improv shows with people, and I feel like it's easier to do in front of a big audience than like in practice with fewer people, which it sounds like it would be the other way around if you really thought about it, but that energy really does something. But yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on more updates about Scorpions. All right, so Robert Plant and Saving Grace are, quote, already planning and starting the work, unquote, on their next album. Robert Plant told BBC Radio 6 Music. Led Zeppelin News reported that Plant previously hinted more music from Saving Grace in an interview in September, saying, quote, there's loads more. If I open the trunk of my car, all these songs fall out. Songs recorded, songs not recorded. It's a trove, unquote. The band released a 4-track EP titled All That Glitters on Record Store Day on April 18th, though the track She Cried, which was supposed to be on the EP, was removed before its release. Yeah, so Record Store Day, that's something that happened while I was on vacation. So I'll have to see if I can track down this EP. But yeah, Dad and I really enjoyed Robert Plant and Saving Grace's first album from last year, and we loved the show, really great Americana type stuff. So really excited to hear what more there is for this next album. And you know, he's one of these musicians here that has basically a treasure trove of material, as a lot of writers of lyrics and music have, and it's always great when those get to see the light of day.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is very exciting for any Robert Plant fans out there. All right. Golden Voice, the promoter of the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, is facing more than $40,000 in fines after running overtime on weekend 2 of the Desert Festival, past the 1 a.m. curfew set by the city on 2 nights of the second weekend at the festival. On Friday night, April 17th, Anima's midnight set went on until 1:09 a.m., which cost the festival $24,000 in fines. And on Saturday, April 18th, Justin Bieber's headlining performance went over by 2 minutes, costing an additional $20,000. This isn't the first time Coachella has broken the long-standing agreement with the city. Back in 2009, Golden Voice paid a $54,000 fine after singer Paul McCartney went a whopping 54 minutes over his allotted time. And last year, the festival was fined $20,000 when Travis Scott went 3 minutes past curfew. And in 2024, a performance by Lana Del Rey cost it $17,000. In 2023, Golden Voice racked up more than $168,000 in fines after 6 performers went past their curfews. Those were Bad Bunny, Frank Ocean, The Weeknd, Skrillex, Fred again, and Fortet. So this festival clearly has some resources to be able to pay this, but you would think that they would try and be a little more strict with the artists to not go past this curfew. But, you know, it's hard to tell the fans no, and hard to get musicians to, you know, cut off, especially if they're in the middle of a song when the 1 a.m. curfew rolls around. So this is just kind of crazy to hear, though.
Yeah, I mean, those prices, even for just a couple minutes over, like that really surprised me because I'm not as familiar with all this. But yeah, like Coachella, that was a huge thing, of course. Basically, some of the people I know have posted on their social media about having gone, so it was a huge thing. Especially, I think the friends of mine who went, for the most part, went for Justin Bieber. Like that was a huge thing there. But yeah, interesting, all these fines that happen. But I guess with all the artists they can get, maybe they'll be able to like get through it. So yeah, it's just an interesting thing to hear about. English singer-songwriter Suki Waterhouse announced her 3rd studio album, Loveland, via Instagram on April 21st. Billboard reported that this is her first album since signing with Island Records. Her first 2 albums were released independently through Sub Pop. The album is expected on July 10th, though Waterhouse dropped the lead single Back in Love last month and dropped Tiny Raisin today, April 24th. The album will feature 14 total tracks and is the follow-up to 2024's Memoir of a Sparkle Muffin. Waterhouse made her debut with 2022's LP, I Can't Let Go. A supporting tour has not been announced, but she is scheduled to play a handful of festivals, including Lollapalooza in Chicago in July. So whenever there's a transition to a different label, I'm always curious, like how different will the approach for the album be, or will it be business as usual type of thing, just maybe with a different amount of resources now. So I'm kind of curious about that stuff, but cool to hear that there's a 3rd album coming from Suki Waterhouse.
Yeah, this is an artist that I've not really listened to much at all, and so it could be interesting to, you know, listen to the lead singles that are coming from this album, and also listen to the album when it comes out and compare it to her past albums and see kind of what differences there are. So very, very exciting, though, very interesting. The estate of Prince has released a previously unheard version of With This Tear, which Prince wrote and later gave to Celine Dion in the early 90s. Billboard reported that the new version features Prince's original recording, which he wrote, produced, and performed himself, first recorded at Paisley Park in 1991. Dion's version of the track appeared on her self-titled album in 1992 and is just one example of Prince contributing music to other artists while keeping his own tracks in a vault. The release came just days ahead of the 10th anniversary of his passing. So very exciting and interesting that the estate is kind of trying to keep Prince alive in the music industry, and not that he really needs that much help, but very interesting that they are finding these ways to honor him 10 years after his passing. And, you know, who knows, there's probably a bunch of other tracks and songs that are in a vault somewhere that may be released eventually one day. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, some of these musicians have treasure troves of stuff that it just stays locked up, or they haven't found a place for it yet. So yeah, definitely curious about all that as well. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts will play their first UK headline tour in 16 years later this summer. NME reported that the group will play 5 major shows across the UK with support from the political UK punk duo The Meths. The tour kicks off on July 2nd at the O2 Academy in Glasgow, before hitting Manchester, Leeds, Wolverhampton, and rounding off at London's new state-of-the-art venue British Airways ARC on July 8th. In the announcement, Jett said, quote, "We can't wait to be back on stage in the UK this summer. I wrote and recorded Bad Reputation, my first solo LP in London. It's been too long since we've been in the UK, and we're excited to see everyone," unquote. Jett has also been announced as an opening act for My Chemical Romance's show at Wembley Stadium on July 10th. So, wow, back to back with My Chemical Romance. I imagine that'll be a very amazing experience, that show.
Oh yes, I'd love to be there, love to be able to witness that, because that will be just so much fun. So, but very exciting that they're going to the UK and doing this whole thing. So, also, Modest Mouse announced a new album expected out June 5th via Glacial Pace Records. NME reported that the album, An Eraser and a Maze, marks the first album in 5 years and their 8th studio album overall. The band shared the track Picking Dragon's Pockets with the announcement, following the release of the album's first single, Look How Far. Frontman Isaac Brock produced the track and said in a statement, quote, "For this one, I turned off my filter and just let it all happen, even though every musician says that when they put out a record," unquote. He continues saying, quote, "Thoughts, emotions, feelings, all that stuff. We're like the soup, and it's not always easy to pick out the ingredients. I don't dwell on things much. I don't grieve much. I'm not sure I'm a person. I feel like I should have more feelings than I do. But then, I'll sing stuff, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, it's in there," unquote. The album will feature 15 tracks. So very exciting to see what they come up with. I, hear from musicians in interviews that they give that they really feel like their emotions and just everything that they kind of hold inside only comes out in their music and when they're performing. And so very exciting that, they were able to just kind of turn that on a little bit and put all of whatever they're going through and feeling into music and share it with the fans. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, because if you really sit down and try to channel all of that, it does become second nature being able to put that into the music. So it's very much part of the creative process. And Modest Mouse, this is I remember back in high school, maybe around 15 years ago, a friend of mine told me about the band. And so it's cool to see that they're still at it with this. new album with 15 tracks, so that's very cool. Morrissey announced a 2026 European headline tour earlier this week in support for his latest album, Makeup Is a Lie. NME reported that the former Smiths frontman will kick off in Norway on June 27th, hitting Sweden, Germany, Poland, Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, Spain, and Portugal through July and early August. Morrissey is also due to play headline shows in France, Netherlands, and Belgium in December. Tickets for the performances went on general sale at 10 a.m. local time today, Friday, April 27th. So a nice collection of multiple countries there. So I'm sure it'll be an amazing run of shows.
Yes, absolutely. Very exciting to hear. So Madonna may have had a great time appearing at Coachella last weekend, but she lost something valuable too. NME reported that some of her archival costumes went missing at the festival, and now she's offering a reward for the safe return of the pieces. She made a surprise appearance during Sabrina Carpenter's headline performance to launch her Confessions 2 era. Quote, 20 years ago today, I performed at Coachella. I was in the dance tent, and it was the first time I performed Confessions on a Dance Floor Part 1 in America, she told the crowd. And that was such a thrill for me. So you can imagine what a thrill it is for me to be back 20 years later in the same boots, the same corset, the jacket I had on earlier, the same Gucci jacket. So it's like a full circle moment, very meaningful to me, unquote. She posted on Instagram on April 20th, thanking Sabrina and everyone who made the show possible, but also announced that her costume had gone missing, saying, quote, these aren't just clothes, they're part of my history. Other archival items from the same era went missing as well, unquote. So she's offering a reward for anyone who comes across them, sees them, is able to return them to her. But definitely sad and upsetting and kind of confusing of how you can go to a music festival like this, be the big artist that Madonna is, and then lose some costume pieces. Somehow they disappear, get lost track of, whatever. I really hope that someone didn't steal them. But yeah, very unfortunate. And we definitely hope that she can find those and get those back.
Yeah, for something as big and high profile as Coachella, you would think that the security would be airtight and down to a T. But yeah, it's really heartbreaking when you hear about this type of stuff. This going missing, and we've heard of bands losing other things like hard drives and a drum set, and it's always very upsetting. So hopefully they can figure out where the costumes went and be able to retrieve them, because they are part of that history and they have very, very much have sentimental value. But next up, the next news item we have here is about, let me just get this picture up. Former Metallica bassist Jason Newsted. So he and his Chop House band will embark on their first ever U.S. headlining tour this summer. Ultimate Classic Rock reported that the band's month-long tour kicks off in Northampton, Massachusetts on July 1st, wrapping up on July 25th in Nashville. They will supplement its 8 headlining dates with 10 shows opening for Atlanta-based country rockers Blackberry Smoke. The group has played on and off since 1992, picking up certain benefit concerts and charity gigs. The current lineup is Jesse Farnsworth on guitar and vocals, Jimbo Hart on bass and vocals, Humberto Perez on guitar, and Robert John Tucker on drums and vocals. Quote, we're fired up to finally take this to the people, and it's an honor to head out on the road with the Blackberry crew for our first proper run, unquote, Newsted said in a statement. Quote, Blackberry Smoke has built a loyal following that knows and enjoys good music. We'll be performing TCB originals and selections from a few of our heroes. Even at places like the Ryman, we will play some acoustic-based tunes, but throughout the set it is guaranteed to get heavy, unquote. They will perform in Pennsylvania, Virginia, New York, the Carolinas, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee on this tour run. So it sounds like they're very energized to do these shows, which is always great to hear with these types of things.
Yes, this will be a very exciting tour run for sure.
All right, so now we get on to the next section of the show.
Let's see what's in the news at Jump Talk TV. Yeah.
Alrighty, so first off, you still have time to use our early bird discount code for the Drum Talk TV Brilliance Arcade. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com and use the code ARCADE2 at checkout to get the first year of the arcade at $2 per month or $20 per year for the first year. And again, that code is ARCADE2, arcade in all caps, and then the number 2. And we have a video here talking about that, so check that out.
Sit around and watch TV? Nah. Come keep your brain sparks firing with our music-themed brain teaser. Crossword puzzles, word searches, anagrams, and more, and of many music genres. Get your pre-sale pass now for only $2 a month or $20 for the whole year for the first year of unlimited play. Take a peek at www.drumtalktvbrilliance.com/arcade and use Arcade2 at checkout, and you are in, where the music meets the mind. Come on and play.
Yes, so lots of exciting stuff going on over at Drum Talk TV Brilliance, so go and check that out. We also have some exciting drumming challenges for you to participate on the website. Submit video entries to the Jeff Porcaro Tribute Drumming Challenge and the 2112 Tribute Drumming Challenge, celebrating 50 years of Rush's iconic album. The submission deadline is 30th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time. Free members to our site can submit up to 2 videos per challenge, and premium members can submit as many as they'd like. You can also still submit to the extended Led Zeppelin Presents Drumming Challenge and Kiss Destroyer Tribute Drumming Challenge. Win up to $125 worth of prizes and even a chance to be interviewed by Dan. The winner of the Ringo Starr themed challenge, David Drezik, actually got interviewed by Dan last night. Here are some videos about our current challenges.
Right, so I'll play them in the order I have them here. We'll start with the Jeff Porcaro Tribute Drumming Challenge. Check this out, folks. Enter the Jeff Porcaro Tribute Drumming Challenge. Competition open until April 30th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to official tracks featuring Jeff Porcaro on drums. They can be the Toto tracks he played on, or even deep cuts from releases by other artists. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com. And here's the one for the Rush 2112 Tribute Drumming Challenge. Drum like Neil in the Rush 2112 Tribute Drumming Challenge, celebrating 50 years of a classic Rush album. Competition open until April 30th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by submitting video of yourself playing along to either a section of the 2112 epic title track or any of the other tracks on the album. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com. Alright, and now on to the extended challenges. Here's a one for Led Zeppelin's Presents album. Now extended through April 30th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
Shift into Bonzo mode in the Led Zeppelin Presents Tribute Drumming Challenge. Celebrate 50 years of a classic Led Zeppelin album. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to official tracks straight from the album. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com.
And lastly, the Kiss Destroyer Tribute Drumming Challenge.
Now extended through April 30th, 2026, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
Celebrate 50 years of the classic Kiss record in the Kiss Destroyer Tribute Drumming Challenge. Win up to $125 worth of prizes by playing along to official tracks straight from the album. Win a gift certificate to a favorite music store. First place gets to have a Drum Talk TV interview. All the info, rules, and judging criteria are on the site. Free members can submit up to 2 videos per challenge. Premium members can submit as many as they'd like. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com.
Right, and just so everyone knows, if you've sent in a submission within the past week, we probably have them. I've seen them in our back end. I've just come back on vacation and am catching up. We'll have those videos up on the site, those video submissions. But yeah, if you haven't submitted, go ahead and do that. If you have submitted but still qualified to submit more, based on our rules and whatnot with the membership, go ahead and submit more. All right, so earlier this week we had another music themed game show with a trivia theme being live albums. Keep an eye out as we post about the next one happening Wednesday, May 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern US times, and the trivia theme for this one will be women in music. Go to the events calendar on drumtalktvbrilliance.com and RSVP so that you get reminders via our email list and get the Zoom link delivered straight to your inbox. You can win stuff even by guessing. We've even had people win the chance to guest VJ a vlog with Dan. In fact, this past Wednesday, past winner Mark Zutkov co-hosted a vlog with Dan talking about music genres and how they've split. So interesting topic right there. And we've got music themed prizes from Medway merch for these game shows. Here's a video about one of their products, the Concert Journal, for example.
What concert would be your first entry if you had an ultimate concert journal? Your most recent concert? Your next concert? Or would you go way back like me and enter your first concert? For me, it was Led Zeppelin. Now you can with the I Was There personalized music performance diary premium hardcover book. This is for all live music fans who experience live shows from clubs to stadiums. And what an amazing keepsake, and it makes a great gift. Use Drum Talk TV 25 at checkout for a one-time 25% discount, so load up. Get yours now via the link in the post.
Yeah, so definitely join us for those game shows. They're lots of fun. As far as Drum Talk TV original series go, Dan and physical therapist Janice Ying did another episode of Drumming Injury Talk last Friday. And yesterday, Dan went live with Lou Calderola for another episode of Under the Influence, where they kept rolling with the theme of drummers new to a band. And today at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, Dan will go live again with Doctors Eric Sandler and Michelle Schechter for another episode of Plugged Into Health. And on Thursday, April 12 p.m. Pacific, look forward to another episode of Rhythm and Lows, where Dan talks to bassist Jeff Berlin about drummers and bassists. So definitely go check all of that stuff out coming up.
And after coming back from vacation, I did another Yes Shift News Desk edition yesterday, talking about the news of Yes's Fragile UK tour being rescheduled to May 2027, John Anderson and the Band Geeks debuting a new live song, Awakens 9012 Live Revisited, and Roger Dean's recent Facebook Q&A. An upcoming Yes Shift episode talking about the expanded version of Yeses from a Page, now available today, is being figured out. But we know for sure that on Thursday, April 30th, 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll celebrate 35 years of Yes's Union album. But yeah, I've given that expanded edition of that From a Page album a listen via the official Yes YouTube channel, and it sounds great. My vinyl copy is supposed to arrive on Tuesday, so there will definitely be an episode about that expanded edition sometime soon.
Exciting. And after also closing out the month, we have Dan interviewing Sterling Whiteside, a touring and session drummer based in Atlanta, Georgia, on Wednesday, April 29th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursday, April 30th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, he will interview Slade drummer Don Powell. So lots of fun, exciting interviews coming up and original shows. So definitely stay tuned on our socials to check all of that out.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of stuff going on.
And now a moment to acknowledge those who have passed.
All right, Dave Mason, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and founding member of 60s prog band Traffic, passed away this week. USA Today reported that a spokesperson for Mason announced his passing, writing in a statement, quote, "Dave Mason lived a remarkable life devoted to the music and people he loved," unquote. In 2024, a routine medical checkup turned into the discovery of a serious heart issue, causing him to postpone his tour. In 2025, he canceled all tour dates as his medical issues persisted. Mason had a long, impressive career, playing with artists like Jimi Hendrix, Paul McCartney, and the Rolling Stones. He also wrote Feeling All Right, which Joe Cocker popularized in 1969. In March 2025, he released A Shade of Blues, his 21st album, featuring appearances by Michael McDonald and Joe Bonamassa. He was 79 years old. So definitely someone who had quite the career, even got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So Dave Mason will be missed.
Yes, definitely a sad passing. Alan Osmond, the oldest sibling of the family pop group The Osmonds, passed away this week. USA Today reported that the singer died on April 20th with his wife Suzanne and their 8 sons by his side, according to a statement from a family spokesperson. The brother to Donnie and Marie Osmond, Alan's career began when he and brothers Wayne, Merrill, and Jay started a barbershop quartet in the late 1950s, and Donnie and Jimmy joined the group by the 1970s. Donnie paid tribute to his brother on social media, sharing one of the earliest pictures of the pair and writing, quote, "Even back then, you can see that he had his arm around me while he was my protector, my guide, the one who quietly carried so much responsibility so the rest of us could shine," unquote. Alan had spoken out about his decades-long struggle with multiple sclerosis. He was 76 years old, so definitely a huge loss to the music world, and he will certainly be missed by many.
Yeah, the Osmonds, like that's one of those names that really sticks out in music history for sure. And lastly, for this section, prolific musician and DJ Greg Foreman, the former frontman of the Delta 72, passed away this week. NME reported that tributes have poured in for the musician following the news, led by Cat Power, whose tribute included a video montage of Foreman with the caption, quote, "Greg, where do we begin?" unquote. Simone Marie Butler, the former bassist of Primal Scream and current bassist of Twilight Sad, shared a tribute online, saying, quote, "Such awful news to hear about Greg's passing earlier today. We had been friends since I went to LA in 2014. He was a gifted musician and musician fanatic who come then his band to pretty much any musical instrument. I hope you are with your mom now in that great gig in the sky," unquote. The Philadelphia native led the Delta 72 from their formation in 1994, which split after releasing 3 studio albums. Foreman went on to work with a vast range of musicians and bands, including the John Spencer Blues Explosion, Pink Mountaintops, The Meek, and The Black Rider. He also worked as a music journalist in Philadelphia, hosted a radio show promoting underground music, and became a sought-after DJ all around the world, playing R&B, mod, psych, and post-punk records. He was 53 years old. So another sad loss, but heartwarming to see that there are these tributes pouring out for him. So yeah, any of these musicians who have passed, those of you out there, take a moment to give their work a listen when you get the chance.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we get to the segment that kind of takes us back in time.
It's time for This Day in Music History. One out the whole week because we'd be here forever.
So starting off this day in music history, this day being April 24th, and this first one being from 2022. Metallica were at number 1 on the UK chart with their 11th studio album, 72 Seasons. The album debuted at number 1 in 20 different countries and number 2 on the US chart. So that's very impressive, especially for, an 11th album from a band to still be able to reach those particular heights in those territories.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very big deal. And going back to 2021, Taylor Swift was at number 1 on the US album chart with Fearless, Taylor's version. It was part of Swift's re-recording projects following the 2019 dispute over the ownership of her back catalog released by Big Machine Records. Fearless, Taylor's version, comprises re-recordings of the tracks on Swift's second studio album, Fearless, from 2008. So exciting. She did buy all of her masters back last year sometime. So, but yeah, this was definitely a big thing in the news at that time.
Yeah, for sure. And then going back to 2012, Sinead O'Connor canceled all the remaining dates of her world tour, saying she was still recovering from a, quote, very serious breakdown, unquote. In a statement on her official website, she said she had scrapped all concerts this year due to her bipolar disorder. Her website was also now being deleted along with her Twitter account. So, yeah, there's a lot going on at that time, which, always sad to hear when shows get canceled, but sometimes that happens due to various factors,
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. And going back to 2003, the first official UK download chart was compiled after the big 5 record companies, EMI, Warner's, Sony, BMG, and Universal, combined for a digital download day. Over 150,000 computer users had downloaded 1.1 million tracks. The Net Parade top 3 were the following. At number 3 was Tattoo with All the Things She Said. Number 2 was Coldplay with Clocks. And number 1 was Christina Aguilera with Beautiful. So definitely some big songs there.
Yeah, like very recognizable songs. All the Things She Said is very catchy. Clocks appears in movies and shows. And of course, you got Christina Aguilera's Beautiful there. So heavy hitters right there. In 1995, Oasis released Some Might Say, which went on to give the band their first UK number 1 single. The planned promo video for the song was cancelled due to Liam not turning up for the shoot. Instead, a makeshift video was created using footage from the Cigarettes and Alcohol US Supersonic and UK Whatever videos. That's kind of interesting. I guess you would kind of want the whole band to be appearing in the video, but I feel like there could have been like some sort of workaround in some way. I know that back in the 80s when Yes had their Owner of Lonely Heart music video, they had a keyboardist with them at the time who was going to be the new keyboardist, Eddie Jobson. But then the original keyboardist, Tony Kaye, who was on the album that the song was on, was coming back. So they kind of edited out the parts with Eddie and just didn't include Tony in the video. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear like what decisions they end up going with for these things. Here instead they use footage from all these other videos.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a case by case basis for sure. Going back to 1979, Ray Charles's Georgia on My Mind was proclaimed the state song of Georgia. The music to the song was written in 1930 by Hoagy Carmichael, who also recorded a version of the song in New York in the same year. Ray Charles, a native of Georgia, recorded it in 1960 on the album The Genius Hits the Road. So, very exciting. Obviously, Georgia has to have this song as their state song. It's, in the name, but also just a really major hit and one that is very influential in the music industry.
Yeah, definitely. In 1976, Paul and Linda McCartney spent the weekend with John Lennon at his New York, Dakota apartment and watched Saturday Night Live on TV. Producer of the show, Lorne Michaels, made an offer on air asking the Beatles to turn up and play 3 songs live. Lennon and McCartney thought about taking a cab to the studio, but decided they were too tired. This was the last time Lennon and McCartney were together. So, very mixed feelings there, I'm sure. At that time, the Beatles had been broken up for several years, and I'm sure the fans would have loved to have seen Lennon and McCartney together again. And this, of course, unbeknownst to them, was just 4 years before Lennon's passing. But as fun as it might have been, I also do understand in the moment, you might be feeling too tired to go and do something as big like this. That would require a lot of energy, and at who knows what time of the day, and after they'd done whatever activities that might have already been kind of taxing. So interesting bit of history either way.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, that is kind of crazy because it was late at night on a Saturday because, Saturday Night Live being on air. So very interesting. And, we can always say what could have been, what could have happened if they had done that. And we're going to jump back to 1970. Elton John released his 4th single, Border Song, the first single from his 1970 album, Elton John. The appearance of Border Song on the Canadian charts was Elton John's first chart appearance in any country and was also his first song to chart in the United States, peaking at number 92. So early on in his career, but oh boy, did he go on to do much bigger things.
Yeah, that's for sure. And in 1968, the Beatles' new company, Apple Records, turned down the offer to sign new artist David Bowie. Apple later signed Mary Hopkins, James Taylor, Badfinger, and Billy Preston. So David Bowie, of course, would go on to make a huge name for himself. So I kind of wonder how Apple Records felt about the decision looking back. It's another one of those like what could have been type of things.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very interesting. And I think we hear about this a lot. Some record companies will just pass on an artist in their early days, and then the artist will blow up. And, you always just kind of have to think to yourself, is the record company kicking themselves about this? And
Yeah.
The chances are they probably are. And finally, we're going to jump back to 1961. Bob Dylan appeared on Harry Belafonte's album, The Midnight Special, playing harmonica on the title track. Dylan was paid a $50 session fee for his first ever recording. So early in his career, that's very exciting. And of course, Harry Belafonte is a very influential figure. So very fun to kind of be thrown back to this, especially since we did talk about Bob Dylan earlier.
Yeah, he's had quite the career since then, lots of achievements. But yeah, really fun run of this day in music history once again.
Here's a reminder of what's coming up soon on Drum Talk TV.
All right, so folks, don't forget to use the early bird discount code ARCADE2 to get access to our new arcade for $2 per month or $20 a year for the first year. And remember to submit your videos to the Jeff Porcaro 2112 Led Zeppelin Presence and Kiss Destroyer drumming challenges by April 30th at 11:59 Pacific US time.
And head over to drumtalktvbrilliance.com to RSVP for our next music-themed game show about women in music, happening on Wednesday, May 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Navigate to the event's calendar on the website, or you can visit our Facebook page and RSVP there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this News Desk report on Friday, April 24th. And thank you, Stephen, for joining me again. And everyone, I hope you all have a really wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thank you as well, Shiley, and thanks to anyone who tuned in during or after, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.